Hey everybody, Miss Dietrich here. Jimmy and his family are on their way to visit some family friends who live 780 miles away from them. Based on the route they choose, they expect to complete their trip in 3 days. So I made this number line. Let's break it up into 3 days. So we have the first day of the trip, we have the second day of the trip, which would be right here, and this will be the last part of the day of the trip. So let's day 1, day 2, and day 3. And the entire distance they have to travel is right here, 700 miles. So let's put that number right here, 780 miles. All right, and here's what we know. We know that the first day, they're going to be traveling 4 hours at an average speed of 60 miles per hour. So let's think about that. They're going to be going for 4 hours. Let's write that number down. 4 hours. And they're going for 60 miles per hour. That means we're going to be taking the number 60 and multiplying it by 4 to get how far they went on day 1. So that's 240 miles. Let's write that number down. 240 miles that they've gone on day 1. It's kind of far. All right, let's think about day 2. So they give us this little nugget right here, or I wrote it right here. We're going 6 hours for an average speed of 65 miles per hour. So let's write down here, we'll write the number 6 hours. And let's figure out how far they got in the 6 hours by multiplying this number times this number. 65 times 6. So here we get the 30. 36 and a 3 more is 39. So that's 390 miles. 390 miles. All right. If the average speed on the third day is 60 miles per hour, let's highlight that. How many more hours will it take for them to reach their family friend's home? So we're trying to figure out this number of hours. Now, we probably should figure out how far they have to go by adding these two numbers. Let's add these two numbers to see how far they went. So we have 240 plus 390. And when we add that up, here we get the 0. Here we get 13. And then here we get the 6. So they've gone, on days 1 and 2, they've gone 630 miles. And we need this value right here. We need to know how many miles that is. If we subtract this from this, then we'll have that number. 780 minus 630. Here we get the 0. Here we get the 5, and here we get the 1. So they have to go 150 miles to reach it to their friend's house. And we need to know if they're going to be traveling 60 miles per hour, how many more hours will it take? Well, if we're going, we need to find out how many groups of 60 there are in 150. So the next computation to do, let's move this out of the way, we need to find what 150 divided by 60 is. Now, it might not work out evenly, so let's put a decimal and at least one annex 0 there, and you're going to finish up by dividing. Now, there's another way you could consider doing this problem, so let's just take a look at what that would look like. Another way you could do this is we could write an equation. So we have 60 times the 4 hours, so 60 miles per hour in 4 hours, plus 65 in 6 hours, plus 60 miles per hour for some unknown number of hours would equal 780. And then we would want to simplify these two expressions here. So if we do 60 times 4 and 65 times 6, that gives us, this times this is 240, this times this gives us 390, plus the 60h equals 780. Combine these two things right here and get 630, which we already had that number up here, by the way, plus 60h equals 780, right? So just finish up that equation, and you'll also get the answer that way.